Hello, folks. Welcome. Excuse me. Welcome to a Sunday afternoon Techthusiasm live stream. First one in a couple of weeks, I think. If I recall correctly, we missed last weekend. Soccer tournaments and summertime activities picking up in the household. But I've got a few things to update on today. It's going to be a tight one. Maybe, hopefully, at least an hour. We'll have to top off at an hour and a half maximum. Got some other things going on today, some more soccer, some family activities and all that. A belated Mother's Day brunch with the moms, the mom and the mom-in-law and all of that. So fun-filled weekend. I spent a lot of the morning doing washer repair. We're at the point in our house now, coming up on 10 years, where like everything is starting to break and basically like bleeding money. Repairing things and fixing stuff up and redoing things for the first time, the fun and joys of home ownership. But there's been a variety of things going on in and around the channel. We'll hit on all of that stuff today over in our time here. If anybody has specific questions, comments, topics, share them in the chat. I'll do my best to hit those as well. As always, if you would like to do that, accompanied with a super chat, super thanks, super sticker, always appreciative and welcome. I see folks filtering in. That's great. Thanks so much again coming out. Sunday afternoon, maybe morning for you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at. Shout off as you're coming in, please. Let me know who's there, where you're from, and let me know if you've done anything interesting in your AV spaces, in your home theater in these last couple of weeks. It has been, I think, since last we streamed. That'll be kind of some of the main topic for today. And of course, hit the like button as well. A couple of shout outs. Tommy Smith, welcome. Odd afternoon. I presume that means good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Ren, channel member. Awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yeah, washer repair. Yep. Yeah, I just wrote a $500 check. Well, paid $500 electronically, I guess, to buy a new ice maker for our freezer, to buy a new door spring latch mechanism for our dishwasher. I think our whole dishwasher is on our way out. We were looking this up the other day, and the average lifespan of a dishwasher is only projected to be 10 years nowadays. And we're right on the nose, but our washer has been throwing like water flow error codes. So digging around back there, disconnecting things and flushing stuff out and cleaning filters and all that. So we'll see where that goes. But in terms of Techthusiasm, it's been, I think, a couple of interesting weeks since last we streamed. Pretty cool milestone. The channel broke 8,000 subs, currently sitting at 8039. I want to thank everybody for their contribution and participation for that. Channel has pretty much a pretty level, nicely steep, but smooth and level run of growth. So I think we'll hit kind of the magic 10K, I would project, by the end of summer. I think would be the goal. And yeah, so that's really cool. It's just, coming up on the 2-year anniversary as well very soon here. I think it was 2 years ago, May, that I had started kind of working initially on the idea. Put the name together and some of the graphics and the details, and got all the kind of background infrastructure set up in that. And I don't remember when the first video went live, somewhere around June of 2021, but we're getting close. I'll have to look up the actual, what is the true anniversary date of the channel, the day that first video went live. And so fun. Yeah, 2 years in, and I only conceive of continuing to march forward in this whole endeavor. So it's been super fun, super rewarding, tons of personal growth and development. And yeah, I think sky's the limit where we can go. I need to just keep trying to make better and better content, cover topics and all that everybody is interested in, share in the experience of this hobby. Again, keeping the channel very vloggy focused, and the camaraderie of having fun with home theater and executing home theater, sharing learnings and mistakes and best practices and all that as time goes by. So that will be continue to be the norm here. So the last few videos, actually the last couple weeks of videos have flown pretty well. The Never Again, the audio separates, I think hopefully help some people. Again, a little more musing on video processors, trying to take a lot of the questions that are coming up in comments a lot and, turn them in or questions on live streams as well, or questions that I'm getting in the consulting sessions. Those are going great, pretty much a regular clip. So if anybody out there is looking to book one of those, get in touch and let me know. I have availability usually weekday evenings sometimes, and on the weekends as well, to set those up. I think still batting 1,000 in terms of people getting value, having fun, making friends, and hopefully having people avoid frustrations, make some better decisions from the lessons that I've learned and mistakes that I've made or money that I've wasted, and all that. So saving folks with hopefully good advice and referrals and all that, where to get their stuff. So pretty cool advent. I think we talked about this actually a couple weeks ago. Then I spun the video out about the content sets that came to Kaleidescape. We continue to see more of those inching their way into the store, or kind of ramping their way into the store. I think we'll see more and more of those on a continual basis. And I stand by my assertion in the video, basically, that by doing that, essentially Kaleidescape got a little less expensive. Content itself got a little less expensive. And I've got 2 videos made coming up. And then 2 more that are kind of in the final stages of editing, hopefully maybe finish them up tonight, that are more of kind of those analysis, maybe do you want this or do you want that? Again, coming out of comments, coming out of questions, coming out of my own personal experience as well, and discussions that I've been having in those consulting sessions, like this or that, or kind of decisions and that sort of thing. So if folks have topics that I can help, that would be of use to you, which would generally speaking then probably be of use to other folks as well, share them, ask those questions in the comments, and give me some topics to make some additional future content around. Super appreciate that. And again, if you have a question, odds are probably hundreds, thousands of other people in this hobby, right, have the same question or are having the same debate. So roll through some comments here. Yeah, washer repair. I'm tired of fixing broken stuff. Best Buy doing a clearance sale on Arkham products. Interesting. I wonder if there's something turning over there, or I'll have to check that out after the fact. 2020 model HDMI 2.1. I'm not sure. Is that the receiver or is that the processor? I looked at the AV. It was the AV40, I think, was it kind of the equivalent, if I remember correctly, of the Anthem, the AVM70 when I was cross shopping earlier on. Now they've got like the AV41. I think they've stabilized quite a bit. One of the reasons I chose Anthem instead of the Arkham route initially was the platform felt a little more mature. People were still dealing. JBL, the 55, I think, at the time, there was a lot of growing pains with the firmware on those at the time. Not to say that Anthem hasn't also had some firmware growing pains as well, kind of part and parcel with preamplifiers and processors and that sort of stuff. Supernova Moore, that looks like a new name and a new face. Welcome, my friend, to our hangout, our live stream. So Ren saying content sets help me building out my library. Yep, someone who just got into the system. It's great. The nice thing about it too, is they're not time limited. So you don't have to necessarily, if you miss a sale or a super bundle, right, it might be a little while before that one comes around again. But having a content set, it's always available. Now they will discount content sets, and I think we already saw that. I didn't actually give that its credit in the video, because I remember 2 weeks ago to the last live stream, we looked at a couple of the content sets that were there, and Star Wars was like $90 for that, right, for the film 9 movie set or whatever it was, and now it's like 115. So I think there were some discounts when some of the sets first hit the store, and then they adjusted to maybe now whatever is their regular price. That was also around like May the 4th. So that's the time when, if you ever want to buy, right, Star Wars movies, you buy them in early May, because that's when everybody puts them on sale definitively for the whole like May the 4th thing. But still, regardless, having perpetually cheaper options in the store that are not time limited, to be able to fill out collections and buy series and all of that is fantastic. I still haven't bought one myself. That's just because I already own all of them, basically. All of the content sets that have come to the store. There's one movie out of all the sets that I'm missing, Creed 3. I haven't bought it yet. I still haven't even watched Creed 2. So I'll probably just wait for a general sale on that. It'll be $10 or something down the road, and maybe someday I'll actually watch movies on a regular basis again. Around AB40, $24.99. Wow, that's pretty cheap. And yeah, 41. Yep, this is the 2.1 update. Terminator Juice, another fellow content creator, friend of the channel and all of that. And welcome. All right, so let's see. We talked about subscribers. So I bought a couple things, or I'm on the verge of buying a couple things. One is I put in the order. I put a community post up about it. I did put in an order with Dan, Mr. Dan DiCarlo, my local friend in Southeast Michigan, pro integrator, for some masking panels, actually, for the screen. They're only a couple $100, few $100. And so I took a little money out of the accumulating like Techthusiasm kitty that's building up towards probably some video processor or some larger purchase coming imminently or down the road, and decided to just go ahead and buy some masking panels. So as I've talked about in quite a few of the videos in the history of the channel, of course, I've got a 163-inch scope screen, 235:1 aspect ratio specifically, JVC NX7 projector at about 17 feet, cannot zoom to take a CinemaScope image and fill that screen from top to bottom, left to right. I knew that going in, and I deliberately still bought a bigger screen than I could fill because I was transitioning from a 16:9 to a 235:1, and I did not want my 16:9 image to be any smaller. I knew some way, somehow, in the future, I'll fill that screen up, either by virtue of buying another projector or an NZ9 or something, or equivalent that has a shorter throw, giving me a bigger image at a closer distance, or maybe the projector will end up in the closet if the room orientation stays the way that it is, adding a couple feet to the throw distance, and then I'll be able to fill it. Or the big gun project that'll probably come in some years down the road, which is stripping the room down to the drywall and flipping the orientation around, thus putting the projector in this room, shooting through the wall. But all three of those things are really big commitments, essentially. Either a very expensive projector upgrade, which definitely I don't think is in the cards probably for this calendar year. I guess we'll see how things progress and continue. Maybe something more likely or possible for next year. And even doing the handyman stuff, knocking stuff out to move the projector back and solving the problems of like putting the projector in a closed up closet, airflow, heat, and all of that. There'll be some other ramifications I would have to deal with. So I just said, screw it. It's a few $100, and let's cut off a little bit of the kind of accumulated revenue of the channel, put it into something interesting. I think people will, I think it'll make for some interesting content. One, basically installing the masking panels. What does it take to put the panels up? It's supposed to be some kind of a magnet system. Should be pretty easy. These are not panels that I'll be putting up and taking down regularly because again, I'm only going to cover the edges of the screen that I don't fill. So I got two panels coming, 5 inches wide. They'll be on the far left and far right of the screen. So that 163-inch screen is 150 inches wide, and I'm able to fill about 140 of those inches. So when I'm zooming up the scope content now, instead of having just a little tranche of like unilluminated screen, now we'll have the masking panels. So will that make any difference? Will the colors, will something look a little more punchy, perhaps improve any of the imagery? We'll see. And if and when I add the Lumigen or some other video processor more permanently, that will give me the ability to do what I had done with the demo, which is scale up the image to fill the vertical. And so at least for wider scope content now with these panels, and eventually with the processor, that will probably come again before a bigger projector upgrade or a larger installation change, I'll be able to fully fill the available screen area. I'll still have some blank space when I zoom down for 16:9 or like 185 aspect ratio content, but it will be less, right? 10 inches less total of empty screen that'll now be masked. So I thought that was a fine addition, little minor addition to go ahead and do I'll probably get a year, maybe a year and a half tops use out of those for a couple $100 or so. I thought that was a pretty good idea. I've been debating that one for a little while, considering if I would negate the need of them sooner than later, but went ahead and did it. The other thing that I have a hard time with actually in my setup, and I'm not sure where that is getting a perfectly like vertically edged image, especially when you zoom up. I think zooming up makes the angles hitting the right projector alignment to the screen and all that more pronounced. And so now I'll have a nice clean edge, nice vertical 90-degree edge on the when I'm zooming up for scope content. So yep, so those are on their way. I think I gave the confirmation to Dan to get those like not this week but last week, and he mentioned I think a couple of weeks for them to come in. So maybe we'll even have Dan on the channel. We'll install those together. I'll make a video about kind of what they are, how they go in, putting them up, and then of course we'll have a hot take on does it make a difference. Maybe what I'll do actually is put one up first and then watch movies a little bit, throw a couple different things on the screen and see if like does the left side look a little different than the right side because of having that masking panel. So kind of looking for kind of like what are some low-hanging fruits that I could add into the system, do something interesting and improve the room without making bigger changes or like larger kind of financial commitments. So that's one of them I thought was worth going ahead and doing. So Terminator asking, did some investigate with my Apple TV? Yeah, I think you've been commenting about some problems with the Apple TV in your NP5, right? Vudu only does SDR and movies anywhere. So you're, I don't think you're going to get more than 422 out of the Apple TV when video content itself is playing. I don't think there's an option for 420 and 444 in the menus. And that basically, I think affects the menu, but I think usually output and all of that is going to be 422 anyway. Vudu, I mentioned it in the Mario face-off that I did that went up live 2 days ago, that I seem to have trouble with Vudu. Like Vudu doesn't keep me logged in every time I open the Vudu app to do one of those face-offs, because I don't really use it regularly to watch content. I stay home to my favorites, right? Kaleidescape, and usually using Apple apps or another app if the content that I'm watching is locked into Disney Plus or HBO Max or whatever. You have to use those. But yeah, Vudu always makes me log in again. There was a couple comments about it. I think Dave and a few other people had mentioned, maybe is somebody else, am I sharing it? And I do have, I think, some family members that have TVs or Apple TVs at some point that we might have like logged in to a Vudu account. So yeah, we need Vudu out there. I don't want to sound, hopefully I don't come off in any of the videos like I run Vudu down. I think Vudu is a really great service. It's pretty much like if you're anti-Apple or you don't want to go the iTunes route because it's Apple and you want an alternative and you want to build a digital library of content that's not Kaleidescape, a streaming library, man, like Vudu is really the one I think to go to, and the one that I would generally recommend, and I think a lot of people use as well. I would recommend Vudu essentially over Amazon. In that regard, we don't have that many choices really. So Vudu is really necessary in the market, and having multiple companies, right, offering the same thing between Amazon, Apple, and Vudu, where you can buy content and build a digital streaming delivery library of content. More is better, because then each of them can do different things that forces competition and features and the others to do stuff. So I really do love the fact that Vudu exists, even though it's not specifically the one that I that I choose to use regularly. I only really use it for the face-offs. Supernova asking if I've seen Sisu yet. I have not. I believe that's come to Kaleidescape though. Let's see here. I believe it is watchable on Kaleidescape. I'm very behind in my movie watching. My movie watching credibility is very low. Yeah, here it is. Yep, $29.99 on K. I don't remember when this came. Rotten Tomatoes reviewer 94%, audience score 88%. When raiding Nazis steal his gold, a grizzled Finnish veteran exacts lethal revenge on the invaders. Yeah, that sounds like a movie that I would dig. I haven't seen it though. I may have an opportunity in June to catch up actually on some movie watching. So we'll see about that. I have been trying to get through some shows lately. I did finish Andor, and I went right from Andor to the book of Boba Fett. It took me like three tries to get through episode 1, watching it at night. My mistake is I lay down on the couch to watch a show, and it's like 11 o'clock, and I fall asleep. So I wake up and I jump back, and I wake up and I jump back. So I finally got through episode 1. I was trying to watch episode 2 last night, didn't make it. So I keep telling myself I need to probably come downstairs. Now, coming downstairs will force me to kind of be more alert and actually get through some content. But I'm hoping maybe in June to finally get to watching a few movies. Family really wants to watch the second Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. My daughter does. We're still reading the old Stan Lee Ditko Spider-Man run from the 60s. Almost, I think we're on issue 31. So she's jonesing to watch that. She keeps asking about that. And then I'm kind of excited for the second Spider-Verse movie. So I think we'll maybe towards going into the end of May here, that movie might get us out to the theater. I had a really good experience going to see Mario at the Imagine Super IMAX. Pretty sure Spider-Verse 2 will come to the Super IMAX. So, but we need to rewatch the first one because that came out a few years ago. And with my kids' ages, we're at a point where if like they did something or saw something 3 to 4 years ago now or more, they don't remember it because they were kind of too little. And we did watch the first Spider-Verse, but we'll rewatch that one and maybe go out for the second one. The other movie that I'm really excited to have available to watch here soon. I think it's going to go live towards the end of May. Is John Wick 4. That actually is a movie series that I am up to date on, and I have watched all 3 of them. And I thought that series was fantastic. I'm excited for number 4 coming up. Ooh, lots of questions here. Trying to roll through some of these quick. As always, if you throw a super chat, much appreciated. Brent saying, is there any specific reason MGM? And now we don't know. It's a bummer, unfortunately. He's talking about the Kaleidescape store. Certain studios, like these, they do charge a lot. MGM kind of charges a lot across the board. New content is fairly expensive. Catalog content is a little expensive, and even like doing disc to digital and stuff like that, MGM doesn't give you much of a cut. Warner Brothers content is expensive when it's new, $36.99. Sometimes they hit the peak of store pricing on Kaleidescape, but at least their disc to digitals get down to $4.92. Paramount's kind of in the middle there, and others as well. It's studio decision. Yep. We'll see what changes or what might happen in the long run. So Bond movies kind of get for $265. Yeah. We need some more MGM content sets. The Man with No Name trilogy, Rocky. There's I'm gonna forget a few of them. Maybe RoboCop. There's more than a few content sets that would be awesome to see CK put out on Kaleidescape. On the Kaleidescape store for MGM studio movies. That would really help. And if it gets them down to like $10 a movie, that'd be fantastic. And I'm still waiting for that Studio Ghibli set as well. Yeah. What about a lens? Yep. Yeah. So that's something that may come. I would imagine that by the time enough time goes by, particularly as the channel grows, and I've got a little more flexibility in terms of revenue, letting me do more and having the virtuous cycle of that on the channel, I'll have it all. I'm sure there'll be a processor here, probably do a lens, but I'll have to do it in stages. So my intent would be to add the processor, some combination in the coming future of stepping up to like kind of that max model projector, like the NZ9 level projector, having the video processor, and then we'll see. I don't know. Lens, I would actually even still say maybe not. Because there's a little more to the lens decision. It's not quite a slam dunk like the other 2 steps would be. That's why I would definitely put it third. I would put it third in the list behind updating the model and getting the processor. And now from my demo time with the Lumigen, knowing very definitively that like having the video processor adds a ton of value even without having the lens. So That was one of the things that I didn't really know, and now I have a much more firm understanding of. So yeah, so moving my projector to the back room was a game changer. Yeah, I would love to not have it be in the space, right? You don't hear the fan, doesn't heat up the room explicitly. So again, in the long run, that thing, I'm sure I'll do it someday, right? The projector will be in here. It'll be sitting up on a shelf, probably over on this side, actually, kind of between the shelves and where the wires come down would be perfect. I could knock a hole right through the wall right there. And then that projector would be in here. It would be right by the source equipment. So I wouldn't have to be running long HDMI to get to the projector. It'd be easy to even potentially run multiple HDMIs for different sources directly to it if I wanted to. Maybe one for gaming input, one for movie watching input, and keep the settings locked in. So we'll see. That's a 5-10 year project probably, though. Yeah, having projector zoom maxed out affects the range. I think I don't know definitively. I think I've seen mentioned too over the years that you kind of don't. It's not ideal to run a projector at the very limits of its range. So be it. I mean, I'm at kind of the maximum blow up, at least for 235 content. When I've got 16:9 content or 185 or an interim aspect ratio content up on the screen, then I'm not at the zoom limits. But for the ultra widescreen stuff, I am. Yeah, same problem. Yeah, image never looks square at the ceiling mounts. I've tried, and the problem is even with the ceiling mount, things shake. The household is not entirely stable. I'm in a basement, and that projector mount is in the ceiling, which is the floor of the upper room. So every time my little guy, despite telling him not to, the parents out there can attest, right? Your kids listen to everything that you have to say the first time that you tell them, right? He takes a winding leap off of the stool or off of the couch, slams down on the floor. That's shaking my projector. And so, or running around, running through the room, whatever, every stomp through is impacting the projector and its hanging position. Even the slightest hairline, little tick 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 over the course of weeks or months or whatever is adding up, and then eventually you got a skewed throw. So once I get the panels, will be the next time that I'll probably spend some time dealing with that. And then even like last summer, they redid our road outside. Man, our house was shaking like an earthquake was going to tear the whole thing down with some of the equipment they had out in the street, digging and tamping rocks and things down for the repave on top of it. It shook everything out of proportion. I did try a shelf. This was pre-channel when I built the room originally. I don't think I've ever told this story, so bonus for today. I've got some pictures of it. I'm sure I could probably share, but I put the projector on a shelf. So it was before I had the curtains actually, and I built a shelf above the closet door on the back wall. And I tried to DIY it. I bought some hefty like L bracket things, but the problem with it was only really having kind of angular bracket support for the shelf, and even having really long brackets, the space that I had to work with, I couldn't, like, it was starting to bow down. And so over the course of a few months or whatever, watching that, it's like, man, that thing's gonna fall, like that it's gonna end up on the floor someday. So I'm not an expert carpenter by any means. I probably could enlist some help or do probably a better job of trying to reinforce it. But now I've got the curtain there and stuff. So I'm kind of committed to sticking to the ceiling mount with my specific setup. But I would always recommend, a box or something. My alternative, I suppose, would be to work with maybe have my handyman guy when he comes over for some more projects coming up here, to build a hanging shelf, basically secure it to the ceiling that we could slot the projector into. We would make sure that shelf is now perfectly level, perfectly square. It wouldn't shake that might be a better way to go, actually. Of course, doing that wouldn't get me any more throw distance for filling the screen, but it would potentially get me more of a stable kind of setup, and it could be open back, so there would be airflow and all that. Maybe that's something to consider. We'll see. Ideas being generated. Alfredo Velasca is asking, Zidoo versus Kaleidescape. You got an hour? So I would say it boils down to a couple different things. Do you still want physical media, and do you want to rip your discs? Do you want to take the time and effort and energy to set all of that stuff up and deal with the complications and the frustrating factors and the slow roll of content, as generally disc releases of movies come out months after the digital version, and sometimes movies don't get 4K discs at all. The gap of 4K digital to 4K physical, I think, continues to grow. Do you have the money? Do you have 10K ish sitting in the bank with no other use, deliberate use for you and your family? Will you not miss it? Never, of course, go into debt for any of this stuff. It's not worth it. Then if you satisfy all of those things, then go buy, get the Kaleidescape and get the Zidoo and the physical media and the ripping stuff out, get it out. Kaleidescape is pretty awesome, but it comes with a hefty price tag and all that. It's going to be a whole lot easier. The whole family's going to be able to use it. Oh, and the other parts too, right? Do you have fast internet? Can you download? Do you have good data caps as well? If you're going to be downloading a lot of stuff to your Kaleidescape, you need to have a data cap to deal with that. I've got a 3 terabyte cap here, so which I usually never come within the realm of breaking that. So those are the considerations to keep in mind. It's definitely not a slam dunk. The other part too, what kind of system are you putting it in? Right? Do you have a $10,000 home theater setup? Kaleidescape probably doesn't compute. Do you have a $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 room? Now you're starting to make sense from a budget allocation perspective. And I have one of the videos that I have made, actually, that'll be coming. I don't know if I'll put that one live this week. It could be the week after. Is the idea of like, what do you want? Do you want a Kaleidescape or do you want a Mad VR? I get that question constantly in comments, and I think it boils down to a couple things, which I talk about in the video. And also to the idea that if we're talking about like these kind of products in our spaces, you have some income, you have disposable income to be able to build rooms and put an equipment set that includes individual devices that are that premium, luxury, cost, expensive, and all of that. You're probably not even a matter of like either or. It's just a matter of which one are you going to get first. So Honeycomb saying, is there a max number of Apple TV devices that could be logged into the same account at once? In terms of like your devices, I don't think so. I mean, I've only got 2 Apple TVs. I don't think so. I don't think that there's a specific limit. In terms of sharing, you can share iTunes accounts, family sharing amongst, I think 5 is the limit there, 5 family members. But for you yourself, like if you had, 5, 6, 7 Apple TVs in different rooms or different homes or whatever it might be, and you're the one, you're using them all on your account, I can't see why there's a limit. I don't believe there is one, or why Apple would care in that respect. Let's see a couple comments. It's out on K. I was talking about one of the movies, not sure which one. I'm trying to keep up with the chats here. Mission Enjoyment. Would love to get your thoughts on a Sonos sound system. How does the sound quality compare to a dedicated sound system? Do you mean like using a like Sonos soundbar, or do you mean for distributed audio around the house? I would consider Sonos a fine choice for distributed audio around the house. I think it's probably, I would consider it to me like an entry level into home theater, right? If you're using it for living room kind of starter system and stuff like that. But I would probably look beyond that or other brands to start building up a more dedicated, more premium audio system, or particularly a home theater room itself. It's kind of my initial take on Sonos. I say that though, actually not having really owned Sonos equipment before. So I've had Control 4 distributed audio, now Anthem, And I only had a soundbar in my living room for a very short period of time, and that was I think I had a Samsung, maybe something else I tried, but I didn't actually have a Sonos. Spider-Verse best comic movie, yeah, it was fun. I liked that one a lot. It wasn't that long ago now, maybe 2 months ago. I actually kind of read the whole lot of Miles, the original comic book source material from the Ultimate Universe around the time that Miles was introduced up to maybe about 2018 when I think the last new series launched. So, and including specifically some of the Spider-Verse crossovers. Spider-Man comics have really gone, I think, in some ways to their detriment, really deep on this whole concept of the Spider-Verse. Like, but I don't want to talk too much comic books here. But I kind of jones for like a more pedestrian Peter Parker again, and one that's married to Mary Jane Watson, for God's sake, not the drivel that they're writing right now. Alfredo. Yep. So we talked a little bit about Kaleidescape versus Zidoo there. If you have any more specific questions, Alfredo, feel free to ping them. Happy Sunday. Finding a JV NZ7 for a great price, 8K. I think that sounds pretty good. And that like 11K MSRP. Is it worth replacing my 2-year-old NX5? Well, I see a significant difference. Appreciate your thoughts. So those projectors are fairly equitable. You know, you get the laser. I think it'll ultimately be a little bit brighter. But those two models are really equatable to each other. I don't think you're going to necessarily find a significant picture quality difference between those, quite honestly. So it really boils. I think that decision would boil down more to the logistics of it. Like, are there elements of the laser presentation or operation that are desirable to you versus the bulb? Do you need the HDMI 2.1 features that you don't have on the NX5, perhaps, if you're doing a little bit more gaming on that than not? I might be inclined, if you're not upgrading, right, getting up to like an NZ8, perhaps, I might be inclined to hold and ask a different question, which is, what else could you buy in your system? So let's say, I don't know what the going price of a used NX5 is, but let's just say maybe 3K, 3 or 4K, I'd have to imagine. I think an NX7 used is maybe still in the 5K range, a little over 5K. So let's say 3K. That means you're ponying out a $5,000 difference out of pocket to make that change. What else could you do with 5K in your system, actually? And, you know, the other thing about it, this also goes for me, is this year starts to go a little longer. Even if I had the money in my pocket, right, would I buy an NZ9 right now? I don't know. I might be a little inclined to wait. So we don't know what the life cycle of these units is going to be. You know, the NX was with us for a while. I think, was it 3 or 4 years, something like that, before the NZs came out. But this fall, right, this CEDIA will mark 2 years, if I recall correctly, since the announcement, you know, / release. Took a little while to actually get them out on the market. But the release of the NZ models, are they going to be on a 2-year life cycle? Are we going to see, you know, whatever the letter is, NQs at CEDIA this year? I think there's a possibility. I think it could be another year as well. But we're already inching up here, right, towards the end of May. And CEDIA will be in September, June, July, 4 months away. I might be inclined to wait as well on an NZ purchase, quite honestly, just being pragmatic about it, and see what happens, right? And then we'll know, like, I would only expect new JVC projectors to be announced at CEDIA and then released, you know, in the following months into the new year, when they would actually become available. So if they don't announce a new model in September, I would feel pretty confident then that we wouldn't see a new model until the following September. And instead, what will probably get announced instead is software features and functionalities and improvements, right? Stuff like that coming again to the NZ models, like basically what we got last CEDIA. So if there's no new projector announcements in September, I would then feel pretty good about buying an NZ this year, because you know you're going to get at least another year out of it before a upgraded replacement model might come along, and who knows what features and capabilities that new replacement model may bring with it. So the one thing that you wouldn't want to do is pony up for an NZ now, right, or sometime maybe midsummer, perhaps, and then see a new shiny new hotness announced just like 2 months later. That might be frustrating, or something that you may have wanted to wait for. So a couple concepts there, I guess, in terms of that, and pragmatic home theater advice. Maybe wait and see until September. And then what else could you maybe do with the 5K? Could you do something else more impactful in your room? But with an NX5 or an NX projector in general, I'd love an NZ as well. But I mean, to be real pragmatic about it, the NX7, any of the NX models, 5, 7, or 9, they're all doing work in our rooms, and they're excellent projectors in their own rights, very much still. Let's see. Honeycomb saying, I think studios keep prices high in Kaleidescape because they know it's a platform tailored to high-end spenders. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They're not all like that, though. Right. Sony, Disney reduced prices in the store some time back. Paramount just did a bit of repricing. Sony's pretty good on their prices. So we've got studios that launch new content at $24.99, have catalog content at $14.99, $19.99. So some of them do it, others don't. Unfortunately. Welcome. Hello. Ren saying, yeah, K and Z, yeah, they really do different things. Yep. So again, it becomes a question: do you want out? Do you want out of physical media? Do you want out of the commitment and maintenance and administration of ripping? And do you have the money in your pocket? Have you considered doing a video wall instead of a new projector? So I do all right in the day jobs. Actually, I forgot who. There's a comment about the community post that I put up that went up yesterday with some of the cool things going on and all that. Was it Kenneth? Or no, sorry. Yeah, Kevon. He's commented a few times. He's like, does this mean you're now rich with all the riches of Techthusiasm? And my response to that was no. It will be a long time before I'm leaving my day job to live on Techthusiasm money. So part and parcel of that, I think I'm a long way from the free cash flow strata that I would be installing a video wall over a projector. That stuff would have to take a paradigm shift of price reduction, I think, before we'll have that in there. But hey, I'm only 46 now, I think. So in this lifetime, maybe, very maybe later on, in a few decades or whatever, technology advances. Who knows what we're going to be looking at in terms of display technology in 10 or 20 years. So it will move right along. All right, Chintaput asking, I have wait for Denon AVR. I have 48 gigabit HDMI. Yeah, you might be waiting a while. A lot of the devices are topping out at 40. It's pretty much a norm there. But you only really need 48, maybe if you're PC gaming. I don't think we even have another content source that takes advantage over 40. An Xbox Series X is 40 in its HDMI chips. A PlayStation 5 is unfortunately only 32. So I wouldn't wait on an upgrade for that. Or more and more, what I would recommend, honestly, is like, depending on your setup, if you're talking about a flat panel, you mentioned the LG G2, that's what I have. Run your sources into the TV. Quite honestly, I think it's a lot better. I probably need to make a video on this, actually, like a pragmatic, basic connection video. I much prefer, in the living room, I much prefer running my sources directly into the television than even switching them through an external device or a receiver or whatever, and then putting the audio back from the TV into the audio processing system. The reason for that is you can make your inputs very specific, and I take advantage of that. It makes things a lot easier. So in the living room right now, I've got an Apple TV. I have the Kaleidescape Zone 2'd into there. I've got a Switch, and I've got a PC. All four of, well, let's say there's three classes of devices amongst those four. Really, the Apple TV and the Kaleidescape are kind of the same in terms of their input configuration and needs. But like the Switch, I have very different settings on my TV for the Switch than I do for the PC. than I do for the video sources. And when you put them into your television independently, you can make individual settings for all of those inputs, and you never have to worry about like changing that stuff or trying to automate it, you know, stuff like that. So to me, that's the superior way to go. Now in the theater, I still do switch my sources. I switch them through the AVM70. There's one HDMI going to my projector, but as it is right now, I really don't game in the theater, and there's not as much going on in the projector in terms of picture settings and all of that for like gaming versus video kind of anyway. So I've got the Apple TV and the Kaleidescape in the theater, and so switching them, I have one input on the projector. It's configured the same way for both of those sources. Again, makes it easy. So a couple things there, but again, I wouldn't be waiting per se for new model. Maybe the next rev of receivers and all that, they'll start to put 48 gig chips in there. I think the latest new receiver line that we had announced or come to market was Sony, the Sony ones. And I honestly, I don't know. I haven't looked if the Sonys are doing 40 or 48. First super chat of the day. Super thanks, Gopinath Makala, $5. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate it. Again, the revenue from the channel goes into the channel. So the stuff, the retained earnings, all that stuff, things that I'm getting, all of that leads to like buying the Lumigen or something, MadVR, whatever, maybe sooner, doing more things in the space, having more stuff to talk about. I am not like at a level like Michael, Youthman, and Chana, and all those guys where like they're getting, you know, I'm getting sent stuff all the time. I've been able to get sent a few things, but by and large, like I'm buying my way and executing the hobby with my dollars and using the channel now to fund that as a business and everything. So I gotta pay my $750 tax bill as well. I gotta pay that tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Yeah, it's great to run a business and get the advantages and stuff out of it, but yeah, $750 accounting bill from last year. All right, a couple other questions, and then I want to talk about a few other topics. Then we'll come back again. Priority to super chats, super thanks, and stuff. Henley Garcia, welcome. I believe that's a new name. Welcome to the live stream. Do you plan on doing projector reviews like the Epson 12,000? So do you mean in addition to or at all? So I did have an Epson LS 12,000. If you go back in the channel history to like last summer, I had an Epson here for a little while, and I gave my take on it over the course of a couple videos and a couple lives. And I had a variety of folks, friends from AVS Forum, and some other local home theater enthusiasts over, and we did a couple of shootouts in my room, the NX7 with the LS 12,000. I'm still running the NX7. I have a preference to the JVC for a few different reasons. I thought the 12,000 was an excellent projector. I think it's an absolute value buster. Like you get a ton of stuff for the $5,000 or less probably now. Right? I think it was $5K MSRP originally. I'm assuming you can get a hold of one for less than that nowadays. It's a tremendous value, put it that way. So a lot of projector, a lot of capability and all that for the money. I love that it's on the market, pushing against JVC and Sony. But my preference was still to keep the NX7, particularly because I'm taking advantage of its frame-by-frame tone mapping and a few other things. Gaming, I think a lot of folks that are gaming in their theaters are taking a preference to the Epson. So if gaming ranks very highly on your spectrum of needs, so to speak, then that may be a fortuitous reason to consider the Epson instead of a JVC or something else. I think, like, to me, like the sentiment of like, I don't know, I'd gamed on my JVCs for quite a while there. I've done more gaming in the living room these last couple of years or 18 months than before. I never specifically had a problem gaming on the JVC. It is so incredibly better gaming on the G2 though, in terms of response and all of that. But I feel like folks are looking down on gaming on JVC projectors nowadays. Like the sentiment out there on the web tends to be that, and there's much more of a preference towards the Epson. So But so that's that. If you're asking, am I going to do more projector reviews? Man, I would love to. It's just a matter of like getting connected and getting some stuff in. I think it would be really cool to get a Sony in here. I thought I was going to have some opportunity actually to get at least a demo of an NZ for a little while. It would be really cool. So going back to the question, like, should you upgrade an NX5 to an NZ7? I had been in some talks with some folks that I thought maybe like an NZ8 was going to come my way, which would be an equitable comparison to be able to have an NX7 against an NZ8 and see what I thought about it. That hasn't materialized yet. So I hope so. I hope to be able to get more projectors through my hands. It's just a matter of, waiting to see, waiting to see what happens. So, couple other things. So I'm working towards, I'm hoping to have another live stream Wednesday. I teased it in the community post from yesterday. So get ready Wednesday night. One of the other things that I've been shopping and really debating quite a bit has been the amplifiers again, like the Class D and all that. And I've made some outreach and some conversation, let's say with a popular Class D amp maker. And so we're hoping to be on Wednesday night. I'll have that live stream hopefully confirmed and published by Monday or Tuesday. We'll do a deep dive talking about that. And then I think I'm pretty much ready. I haven't done it yet, but I'm pretty much ready to give the go ahead on what will be a 4-channel Class D amp. And then I can get the living room off the Parasounds. I can get the Triad rack amps out of here. Thing will slot right in here perfectly. I run both living room speakers and subwoofers on that new amplifier, and that will essentially settle and take care of that. So stay tuned. I think it's a brand and all that folks are really keen to hear more about. And I'm just kind of teasing all kinds of stuff. Another tease. I did have another correspondence going. I'm hoping to actually come up with the first channel giveaway. So I'm hopefully looking to kind of reward the channel members. If you're, for the subscribed paying members on YouTube, there aren't that very many of them yet, but that is available there. There's a kind of an entry level, couple $1 a month membership, and then a little more expensive one. So, and I'm hoping to be able to have something to do. I was hoping to have it even potentially today, but I didn't get a confirmation yet. But in future live streams or whatnot, hoping to do some giveaways and some more kind of fun stuff there. Let's see, I'm just making sure I hit all this stuff that I wanted to get in here. I am scheduling the consulting sessions. If folks want those, reach out. JeremyPyle.com has a contact form. And since we last live streamed, I did fully confirm my booking. I bought my airfare, caught it on a nice dip, thankfully, for Audio Advice Live. So I will be at Audio Advice Live along with a handful of other, I think, already now advertised home theater, social media friends. So I think it's going to be pretty sweet. I believe that there's going to be some specific stuff planned around kind of for us there. So it'll be a cool opportunity to see some of those guys again. And, I'm hoping, I haven't reached out to anybody yet, but I think we could have some other ideas at the event to kind of connect with the communities. I'd love to do like a Friday night bar kind of hangout at the hotel. And then last year we did like kind of the Uber, whatever, 7-channel live stream. Hopefully all the guys would be interested in maybe doing the same thing again. So if you, I will be there. I'm confirmed. I guess weather, illness or something could take it out at the last minute, but I bought my ticket. Everything is a go. So if you're going, check it out. I had a lot of fun there last year. That was the first real big opportunity that I had to like listen to so many speakers and sample like so much audio. It's a little more of an audio experience than a video one, although there were still home theater setups. JVC was there. The Mad VR guys were there. Kaleidescape was there. So the video is represented as well. But yeah, it was fun being able to just go room to room and see and experience and whatever, all these different speakers, all these different brands and stuff like that was pretty cool. So beginning of August, Audio Advice Live. I will be there. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is I've been doing a little more with Instagram. It's kind of debating, like, is there any dimension of value in another platform to kind of add to doing YouTube? I tend to try to be pretty prolific with the channel here, meaning I post videos, I do lives, I do community posts. I haven't done much shorts lately, but I still want to try to get some more short content flowing. So I really try to do something every day. Like let there be something from Techthusiasm flow into YouTube every single day. But just as an FYI, I have been using Instagram a little bit more. I think I like Instagram as like the next way to engage and share a little bit. And then the thing about YouTube is like if you try to do something that you're interested in outside of your niche, YouTube doesn't really reward you very well. It actually works as kind of a detriment to everything else that you're trying to do on YouTube. So YouTube really wants you to kind of like niche down, especially as a monetized channel and all that stuff. So I can't really, there's not a lot of value per se. It kind of just breaks the channels to do non-home theater stuff, or share a little more general things or whatever. So Instagram is by no means monetized, but I think it's a really great platform. So my Instagram is in the description. I've been getting into comic books and other things again. If you want to engage about some other topics, I really try to put up a disparate selection of personal stuff and other things, and the home theater things as well, on Instagram. So if you'd like to join me there, please do. All right, catch up with some comments here. Oh, we got another member in the house. Love those green names. Sammy Prescott. Good morning. Good afternoon, my friend. So Ren saying, I personally feel once hit 20K plus range for home theater, that's what, yeah, it's like $20,000. I mean, when you're building a system, you're putting 5K, 10K, 15K, you can have a really nice home theater experience. Absolutely. You don't have to spend 30, 50, 100K in this hobby. They have a really cool experience and have a really nice setup, living room based or even media room based or whatever. But there are certain devices that just don't make sense, right? When you balance a budget. The hard thing about this hobby, and it's probably similar in some other hobbies as well, but like we have a lot of stuff for a system. We have a lot of stuff that you need to buy, right? That goes into kind of creating a whole home theater system. And that forces choices ultimately, right? You need a display. And if you want to go projection, it's not just buying a television or a large flat panel. You need a screen and a projector. So now you've got two moving pieces, elements that you have to buy separately. Audio is the same thing. You can start on the receiver side, but as you step up, you may be buying processors, which are more expensive. You may be buying independent amplifiers, which are adding cost. Speakers alone, right? And a lot of flexibility. You could have 2 speakers, you could have 3 speakers, you could have 5, 7, 9, 11, 15. How many do you want, right? The more you add, the more you have to distribute the dollars around. Subwoofers, are you going to do just one? Always, I would say a little bit nicer, particularly in a more focused experience space, to do 2, but people have 3, 4, 8, whatever subwoofers. And then the more stuff you add, you're adding complexity. You need more other types of processing. Then we got sources, cables, seating, and all of these different pieces, right? So depending on whatever somebody's budget is, budgets get eaten up real fast in this hobby as they get distributed over all the things that you could buy. And so certain things just don't make sense to allocate that much of the budget until you get to certain overall like comprehensive levels of spending in the hobby. And that's just the way it is. So Kaleidescape, right, nominally $10,000. They have a promo going on, by the way. Right now, I think it's through the end of June. There's some nice discounts available to get into the platform, but it's still $8,000-9,000 for a C plus 6 terabyte Strato combo. And if you're spending 15 grand on a home theater, are you really going to spend 9 on a K and then put the other 6 into everything else that you have to buy? No, you got to be spending more to get to that level of spreading your budget out. It's just the way it goes. AJ James, what's up? Hello, Alfredo. So winter Kaleidescape. So there you go. Another happy Kaleidescape member. I talk a lot about K here. The one thing that I never want to sound like is a Kaleidescape fanboy, because I'm not. I think that I have a high level of expectation from that company in particular, and that goes part and parcel with the idea that it's a very expensive element of our rooms, and it does something that we can accomplish for a whole lot less with other alternatives. We still have physical media, and streaming has gotten really, really well. I look down on nobody that says, you know what, I'm just going to go iTunes for all my content, and I'm going to be happy with it. And I'm gonna go that route, and I'm gonna have good faith that in the future, like, iTunes is only going to get better. I guarantee it. You know, the quality, the video quality. We'll probably have lossless audio on iTunes at some point in time. Will it be in this year? I don't know. Maybe not. Might be a little ways down the road. But even today, if you have a solid system, a premium system, and you just choose to stream, you know, that's awesome. That's a fine solution. So I put a lot of demand in my videos, and I hope I'm very, again, pragmatic about it. But for the price, for what it is, for the positioning in the market, like, we should have a very high level of expectation from Kaleidescape in terms of what it's offering us, adding features, you know, getting better and all of that. And so I'd say so far they're really delivering in 2023. And I look very much forward to the remainder of the year and kind of see, you know, what else comes. I think for a few years now, this has been the most active start of the year that Kaleidescape has had. When you factor disc to digital program changes, we got the content sets coming, the regular flow of content into the store. They just put out, you know, they just replaced the remote control again. All these little nice things, right? All these little nice things being added to the platform. And I didn't look, but I think there was actually mention of another firmware update that was hitting or just hit. I thought I saw it in the owners forum. Yeah, does the new software 10.15 have a new screensaver function where the interface scrolls through the movie wall at random and opens up movie cards? Oh, so okay, Mike says, yeah, it's for, oh, that's the dealer mode. Okay, never mind. That's a dealer mode thing. But so they added a couple dealer things as well in the last firmware. But look at it, like, we got 10.14, now we got 10.15 in software development. I say this as a 20 plus year software development developer and now manager. I run a couple of software products and all that. You know, when you're versioning stuff, we're seeing 10.14, 10.15. These are minor versions. We haven't seen KOS 11 quite yet, but, you know, stuff is happening. Features are going in. Stuff is being added. The ramp up of technology is getting better, and I love it. And I want to see more. And again, I hold the company to a high regard, and I'll sing their praises when there's praises to be sung, and I will challenge them to do more when I feel that they will be kind of rightfully challenged. That all said, now is a good time to buy it. There is a discount. There's a promo going on. If you're going to buy it, I'll plug it. Audio Advice. I have an affiliate relationship set up with them. If you go through the links, check out like the last Kaleidescape video or the community post or whatever. There's super help out the channel. Audio Advice, quite honestly, has a very nice affiliate revenue share. Doesn't add anything to you. It really helps me. And again, I welcome people to the platform. I want Kaleidescape to be strong and healthy. And we'll see if iTunes goes high bitrate lossless. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Mission says, I have a Sonos soundbar and speakers. It's very well suited for apartment living. There you go. But with movies, it feels a little cloudy sometimes. And I went the quality isn't as good as it could be. Yeah, you know, I would consider Sonos to be a casual listening platform. It's very accessible. You know, very smartly put together platform and system, very nicely levels of integration and accessibility and all that stuff. But I wouldn't necessarily, I would go other routes as you progress in home theater, home theaterdom, right? And the hobby. Sorry if I'm sniffling and scratching my eyes a bit. And I thought I was going to avoid it this spring, but nope, allergies, man. They came on fierce, like Tuesday night, late bloom, whatever, pollen bloom, something. I was out for a walk with my son, and I just felt it, like, oh, it hit. And then all week since then, I've been scratching. But it's weird. I'm still a little bit better off than I had been in the years past. I had been doing some kind of like homeopathic allergy types of treatments. Jury's out maybe on some of their the effectiveness and what to expect. I had my hopes very high, but that said, I'm not as consistently getting torn up as I was a year ago or in the last couple of years. but I can feel it at moments, man. I want to claw my eyes out. AJ, welcome. What are your thoughts on the pros, cons of projector distance with the large screen, balancing lumens and adding to the noise floor? Meaning like the projector fan noise adding to the noise floor. Most projector noise nowadays, I mean, you can hear it in a silent room or silent passages, but it gets drowned out pretty easily. I think by and large projectors are more silent. But that said, part and parcel to the earlier conversation in the stream, right? I do look forward to not having a projector in the room, either by virtue of doing something in the setup. And if, like I think Terminator or some other folks mentioned, if you can get your projector in another room, that's great. That's definitely an ideal. And then in terms of distance and lumens, I mean, you want a nice, bright, punchy image in a projection setup for sure. I've had folks challenge me a lot to say, like, man, like with my screen size and all of that, is my presentation like disappointing in terms of light output in some way? And to me right now, I don't think it is. That would be one of the reasons, though, that I would look forward to upgrading to an NZ8, ideally an NZ9, or equivalent model. Like an NZ9 is rated like almost 3 times the lumens effectively of like what I'm getting out of the NX7 right now. And the laser will deliver that, I think, better and more consistently over a longer period of time. I'm a couple thousand hours now into my bulb. I have the replacement bulb right here. This is still the original bulb. When we bought the NXs back in the day, probably shouldn't. It has my address or something on it, but when we got the NXs back in the day, we got free bulbs because of all the shipping delays and stuff. So I still have yet to put that in. Probably should just go ahead and put that in sometime soon and use it for the next stretch. Brand new bulb, have more brightness. Use it for the next stretch while I await a future upgrade. If not, I'll end up just probably selling it with the projector when the time comes, or just putting it in at that moment. That'd be pretty stupid. Basically, let the next owner benefit from the new bulb instead of me. So maybe sooner than later, actually, I might go ahead and put that in. All right, I'm babbling on this question a little bit, but that all said, I've had a number of folks over to my space. I've had Andy Pixel Pusher on AVS, who's a notable, like, local, say, projector and screen enthusiast aficionado. He did my like my JVC Cal and stuff like that. And a number of guys have come over, and nobody's felt that the room is not bright enough. So, but I've got a blackout room. So part of it is also that, right? If you don't have an environment that's really supporting the projector to get the most out of every bit of brightness that the projector can throw, well, then you may need to opt for a brighter projector. But going back to one of the other questions as well, we shot off the LS12000, which is a much brighter laser engine projector, right? Half the screen. My old JVC with an aging bulb and the LS12000 next to it. And the difference in picture quality and presentation and what everybody unanimously preferred was not the brightness of the 12,000. It was the overall presentation of the JVC people liked. And you could see that difference in brightness in some content more than others, like the bright scenes, Aquaman, in like the Italy, I think it's Italy, the fight where they have outside there. Yeah, the LS was doing some work. What was the other one? The one shark movie with the old like prehistoric shark, Megalodon. I'm forgetting the name of the film. Like, that's a very bright movie, right? And you can see some of that, but nobody felt that the NX7 experience was dim. Can we know is the best? This is a fun one. PK Hamu 2005. I think that's a new name as well. Welcome. Can we know which is the best home theater you have ever visited, irrespective of budget? So that's a very easy one. Mr. Art, he's another Michigander here, and he has the noted, well-renowned theater that runs the Christie Eclipse projector. And that was just a whole nother level of this hobby. That room, I don't even know what the budget of that room was altogether. The whole stack of equipment. And he's got probably the biggest Kaleidescape installation I've ever seen. With the old style hardware and the new, lots of Terras and all that stuff. The Christie, that big, whatever, like 200 and some inch plus screen, massive audio, I think Trinoff, like the nines, everything that you would ever want in this hobby. Art has it in his room. And so I got to experience that last fall. I think he hosted a really amazing party. A lot of folks went. Michigan Enthusiast. It was coordinated over AVS Forum. And yeah, that was a whole different level, beyond anything else that I've seen. The other rooms that I've been in, let's see, I've toured probably just because of AVS Forum and the Michigan Enthusiast group. I've probably been over, well, a handful of other guys' houses, 5 or 6. Nobody's on the level. Nobody else is on the level of Art. We've been in some really, really nice rooms. Spartan Home Theater, that was an AVS Forum featured home theater of the month from a little while back. Really, really nice put together room. But again, most of the gear that everybody has is kind of at a similar level, even to what I'm running here in terms of like the level of projectors, the level of processing. Some of the guys around in the area do go a little harder. Jeremy, another AVS guy, a little further north in Michigan. Like a lot of the guys in this area seem to really like the audio and the bass and loud, thick, many large subwoofer types of audio. So it's been interesting going into different spaces, seeing how people are finishing things and all that. But yeah, Art takes the cake by a couple orders of magnitude over the rest of us. There is another, I think, really high-end theater in the area, another AVS Forum contributor that's kind of in the group. I came into the AVS Michigan group later, I think, than he had his last party get-together kind of stuff. And so hopefully there'll be an opportunity to check that one out as well coming up. We'll see. So just a couple comments harkening back to prior discussion. Extra 8 data and 48 spec. Yeah, well, 48 gigabits gets you 4K at 120 FPS at 444. And so that's actually how I run my gaming PC. I run video levels 444, actually run 12-bit, and 120 FPS. If you only have 40, you have to drop that back a little bit. You can't get, basically, I don't think you can get 444 color at that. You have to drop down to like 422, or you have to drop the frame rate a little bit. But again, the only device that would do that, and I'm not even concerned about 8K resolutions with anything per se right now, is that's still 4K. You need the full 48 at 4K resolution, but it's only a gaming PC. So is what can use that. That's how I have my gaming PC running. AJ, if you were to run 4 subs, how would you do this? So if I didn't also upgrade, my expectation would be that let's say when, it's just probably a matter of time. When I go to 4 subwoofers in the room, I would probably do that in conjunction with an AVM 90 upgrade. And I would just try to accomplish all of that together. But otherwise, I think Ren has the answer here, right? Change subs together. Yep, that's what I would do instead. I don't think I would bother with and I have the Arndals, which allow you to do this. The Arndals have an XLR input and then a daisy chain XLR output. So even if I were to add more subwoofers and I stuck with the 70 for a while, I would do the daisy chain. I don't think I would add a mini DSP, because I know that I would end up in the AVM 90 eventually anyway, and the 90 will do, or some future version, iteration, whatever, something soon enough that would already EQ for discrete subs. And so tying 2 subs together, I don't know how I would do it, if it would be left and right or front and back, something like that. But I have this, I put the post out. I haven't had the opportunity to come do anything with it yet. But if everybody recalls last live stream, I was talking about trying to reposition my subwoofers around in the front half of the room to find a better, smoother location, naturally performing location for one or both of those subwoofers, because I've got some pretty big dips, some big knolls that they fight against in their current spots. And I had mentioned I did order some more cables. They're still in the packages. So I've got a 40-foot XLR cable here. This is World's Best, my favorite audio cables, Mogami 2549 cable with the Nutric XLR connectors. These are the Nutric Silvers. They don't make the Nutric Golds, which is what I had been buying before in this length. Some of these cables actually had been out of stock. And then I bought another 10-footer to go. So I've got the 2 silvers. Give me a little more flexibility. So what I think I'm going to end up with ultimately is moving one sub around in the front left, and then hopefully taking what is now the front right subwoofer and move it to be a rear right. And then the subs will be in opposing corners or opposing corner quadrant areas of the room from each other. And the 40-foot cable will let me get there. So I haven't been able to do that yet. I need to find the time to get down here and actually do it. And so what I'm going to do, I'm not going to get the cable, probably not going to put the cable in my wall wirings and all that. I'm just going to run it across the room and hopefully even give me a little bit of flexibility to try out the back, what would be the back left corner, as well as the back right. And of course, I'll report on that in a future live stream as well. One note, so we're coming up, we're at an hour 16. Man, time flies. These are so fun. I love doing these. Especially, I think this is a perfect time to do them as well. I will be cutting out at 1:30 in order to go get cleaned up and get ready for our belated Mother's Day brunch and onwards to the kids' soccer game. So I'll be here until about 1:30. If you've got, there's more comments, I will try to get to all of them as I always do. If you've got anything else that you want to throw out, questions, something to get to, I'm going to pick up my pace a little bit. But if I do see the super chat, super thanks come in, I'll give them some priority as is due to them. So just to hit a couple of other things to make sure we get on today's stream. Again, thank you to everybody. Super thank you. 8K milestone is a great number. Hoping that we'll keep marching forward here on the channel. 10K, it'll be a 10K summer. Look for the posting coming up for a Wednesday night live stream, probably 8 o'clock. If you've got questions about amplifiers and amplifier technology, that will be the deep dive live stream to come to. And that will probably predicate my committing, going ahead and making an amplifier purchase, getting the living room squared away. Hopefully we've got some giveaways coming. I am booked for Audio Advice Live. And lastly, again, join me on Instagram. Especially like comic books. I like, I'm getting really back into comic book hobby too. But that doesn't fit this channel. So sharing that a little bit more on Instagram. Let's see, comments, scrolling through comments, try to hit these last ones. And again, we'll be winding up about 1:30. Chintapet, I can't do everything to TV. Oh, because it's on while everything below the TV is 10 feet. So yeah, I mean, if you have to switch it, you have to switch it. You know, that's again, it's being pragmatic in this hobby, right? Sometimes our setups, our installations dictate what we're able to do. And we have to make do. That said, if you wanted to switch a full 48 gigabit, my understanding is that the Anthem products are full 48. So if you wanted that now, and you're probably switching, again, if you're switching a PC or something like that, instead of waiting for Denon or Marantz to give you something, go buy a 540, 740, or 1140 Anthem. And I think you'll have everything will get better as a result of that. And they're one of the few that has full 48 HDMI to begin with. Henley Garcia, welcome. Are you going to go to CEDIA? TBD. I would say right now, probably not. So there's 3 big events coming up due here soon. There's Youthman in Ryan's M-Wave event coming in July, right? There's Audio Advice at the beginning of August, and then CEDIA at the beginning of September. In the future, as time and revenue and all of that stuff allows, I would love to be able to go to every one of those events every year. I didn't go to I only made it to Audio Advice Live last year. I've never been to a CEDIA, and I missed the inaugural M-Wave. I am going to miss M-Wave again this year, unfortunately. We had already had long planned a family vacation coinciding with that. I actually won't be that far away from Kansas City. I will be down in some lake area in like southwestern Kentucky around over the days and period of time that M-Wave is. So, but that was already set in stone. I will be at Audio Advice Live. So if you're able to make that, I would love to see people. We'll see. I'll probably walk around the show in the Techthusiasm shirts. Catch me there. And Cedia is a TBD. I would really, really love to go to Cedia. And I think it would be very beneficial from like the business aspect of the channel. Again, it's all right now, everything for me is a matter of opportunity cost. Techthusiasm is a business, paying the tax bill for it tomorrow. And I really need to kind of manage what I do with the money. And it's finite. So if I spend to go to Cedia, then that's something else that I can't do. And quite honestly, I'd rather buy a Lumagen and be able to ongoingly cover the, owning a video processor and all of that versus maybe having a significant portion of that money go to another trip for the year. So we'll see. I think the key for me, like going to Cedia, and I think where the value would come from is like being able to go to Cedia and have it pay for itself, meaning I can do like booth videos and booth interviews and all of that kind of stuff there. I know other channels, right, get compensated to do stuff like that. I'm not at a level where I have established contacts or kind of set that up in full quite yet. Maybe by next year, hopefully, probably not this year. My other limitation is that this is my side gig, right? There's other folks in this hobby, in the social media space of this hobby that do this full time, right? Their YouTube channels, their platform is their entire job. This is not. I have a full time gig outside of this, and so that Techthusiasm is entirely a second endeavor for me. I spend my evenings, I spend my weekends, sometimes to my wife's chagrin, putting a lot of effort and energy into building this up and all the things that I do and the content that I make, and all of that sort of stuff. So long story short of that, I only have so much vacation time, right from the day job. So, and I got a family, we got family vacations booked. We already did a 2-week plus vacation this year. Got another week coming in July. Trying to do something else with the in-law side of the families and then some other long weekends. I like to take off Christmas break. Unfortunately, my company, despite all of its amazing personal benefits, doesn't just give us the Christmas to New Year interim holiday break off. So I'm limited in vacation time. So I got to take vacation from my day job to go to Audio Advice or go to Cedia and these things. And so a lot of different demands and whatnot. So long story short, I don't think I will be at Cedia. Something could happen to change that, but at this point, probably this year, probably not. Audio Advice will be my one and only expected travel opportunity for the channel this year. Next year, who knows? Sky's the limit for a year from now. Sammy's saying NZ series is capable for gaming. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I wouldn't use the eShift probably for gaming, but I never had a problem gaming on the GVCs, but I'm not a competitive gamer anymore. Nowadays, I play for fun. I play single player games. I play same screen co-op stuff with my kids and the family. So my needs are a little bit different. Julius, super OG original channel supporter. Welcome. Yeah, I went noon today. I gotta be on my way here in just a few minutes for some family activities for the remainder of the day. Speakers alone. Oh, I think I did 8,600. Yep. Yeah. This hobby adds up. Buckeye, remember that name. 4,400 for 16 channel amps. Yeah, processor still TBD. Hey, Anthem, you know me. Get the Anthem. Yep, and the K-Scape. Yeah, I'm in for a lot. I've never made the video like what do my home theater spaces cost. I probably should make that video and do one for the living room, one for the theater, and just like add up basically the MSRP of all of the equipment and account for the time finishing work and setup and installation and all that stuff and see I probably don't want to make that video because it would make my wife and other family members cringe. Terminator. Don't want to steer the conversation. Some JVC guys were hyping up the theater optimizer feature. Oh, see, I love it. So I'm enamored with JVC processing. I think going from an RS, I think I had a 540, and then I got the NX7, and then shortly after the NX7 debuted, the frame by frame HDR came out. All of those to where we are today. I found it to be fantastic. Sammy, processors where I spent a good majority of my funds. Yep. Yeah, I think Sammy's got a setup. Sammy's definitely got some money in his system. Oh, the Meg, that's the movie. Yeah, we were shooting off the Meg. That was one of the titles that we looked at on the Epson versus JVC thing. Yeah, there you go. So, yep, 4K, 120, 444, 12-bit. That gets you up to 48 gigabits. That's what I run on the PC in the living room. I couldn't run that, of course, in the theater because the NX7 is an HDMI 2.1. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the NZs are the full 48. It's not 40. It's not 40, I think. Yeah, CD is cool. Been a few times. Yep. Yeah. Yep. I'm sure. If the last 2 years are any indication, like where this whole endeavor may find itself in a year or 4 years or 5 years, I think I'm finding some legs to this whole thing. So I would hope to be integrated and ingrained. And I know a ton of people, like if I could get myself there, other creators, contacts at companies, there's a whole bunch of people that I'd like to see and interact with. Some of them will be at Audio Advice. A lot of them that will be there anyway. So yeah, getting away with one trip will be the one. Yep. Henley Garcia, hope to see you there as well. Definitely. Low key NXT-HXN. Can you talk about why I should use PCM audio, not Dolby Digital on Apple TV? It's so confusing sometimes. The reason is because if you set up your Apple TV to output as Dolby Digital, it's basically like re-encoding down. You're losing fidelity by re-encoding. You're getting a signal in. The Apple TV will like decode and do whatever it needs to do, process whatever. But then when you output it Dolby Digital, it's losslessly re-encoding it to Dolby Digital and then putting it back out again. Whereas if you go with PCM, you're getting the original signal in. It would be being decoded once. Any additional system sounds and things would get overlaid in, and then it's output. PCM is a losslessly decoded digital format of whatever the original source might have been. The only downside is PCM doesn't carry Dolby Atmos and stuff like that. You have to be bit streaming to actually have Dolby Atmos get output. Or wait, I'm mixing stuff up. Sorry, I'm talking about my TV. So, but you don't. The main thing that you don't want any device to be doing is outputting at a lower encoded quality level. And like the PlayStation 5 does this as well, right? And maybe it's a better example. You go into the PS5 audio settings and you can output as PCM up to 7.1, or you can output as Dolby Digital. If you output as Dolby Digital, the PlayStation 5 is taking what is essentially an original losslessly generated video game audio signal and compressing it down to a lossy Dolby Digital format. No, don't do that. Just output that as PCM. Right? Because the PlayStation for games and stuff like that, it doesn't do Dolby Atmos, and so there's no original encoding. It's just game audio being created, output, and generated, and so you want that to come out as PCM, basically. I have a little bit of a special consideration for the videos I made on it because my living room is a 2-channel thing, but you still want, like, in some cases, you want content being sent as like Dolby Atmos, even though it might be only being used in a 2-channel system, and that gets into some other complexities. And I'm kind of running up against the clock to describe. So maybe we can come back to this in a future live stream. Yeah, 2 minutes. I feel the same about spending money on travel events. Yeah, I'd rather spend the money on your room. Yep. Yeah. It's a balance. There's a lot of value for me, certainly, to go to these events, particularly because of like building opportunity for the channel and stuff like that. Joshua, welcome. I think this is also a new name. Happy to see you. Should I give up a search on a dumb TV? Yeah, whatever. Every TV is going to have stuff. There are no dumb TVs anymore. But just because a TV has a bunch of features doesn't mean you have to use them. I've not used mine before. I don't think I've ever touched the WebOS LG stuff yet on my LG, and I didn't use the Sony stuff before that. Julius, should I change old speaker cables? Z2 reference monster speaker cables from the 90s. I wouldn't imagine that stuff should degrade or anything, but the 90s is a while. I guess if cables are oxidizing or, the contacts, if you had bare wire and they're starting to, I don't want to say rust, but like, is oxidized the right word? And maybe you would want to consider it, but I mean, they're all shielded cables. That really, I wouldn't expect you would see a lot of degradation. Although I'll use an example from the comic book side of things. A lot of times now we send comic books in or collectibles to get graded, and they get encapsulated in plastic containers. And I had recently learned that like you want to be sending in, PC just came on. There's a little background noise. Sorry. I think my kiddo just is playing some games. You're supposed to send comics in every like 5 to 7 years to be re-encapsulated in a new container, which I thought was interesting. It's like if you encapsulate, the whole point of it, like encapsulating it, is keeping it out of the environment, out of the air, out of contaminants and all that stuff. But apparently, like, it's a good idea to like freshen things up and change those over. So I don't know. This is interesting. I'm gonna have to do some research on this question. So Sammy confirming, yeah, NZR full 48. So that would get you there. 2 more comments. Makes so much more sense. I guess PCM is the best way then. Yeah, they don't really do Dolby True HD. You're going to get like streaming Dolby Digital Plus or like streaming Dolby Atmos Matte, or you're going to get basically PCM. So it just depends on your specific setups. All right, folks, I have to run. I will have family waiting on me, and I never like being the one that is being waited on. I like punctuality in my life. So Wednesday night, look for a live stream opportunity, deep dive AMP discussion with a special brand guest, hopefully Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Hopefully cool videos that everybody likes coming. Got some editing and stuff to do tonight, talking about picking screen aspect ratios, Kaleidescape versus MadVR. What do you buy first and why? And actually I did another video on cord cutting. That's the other topic that I haven't touched on in a while. Thank you again for the 8K and so much more stuff coming here. Check out the Instagram, and I will see and talk to everybody else very soon. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for engaging. This was really fun and coming back from a home theater discussion and fun.